Hey there, this is Konstantin. I'm a full stack developer and I'm working on my progressive web application built with Solid.js and Firebase services. For today, I prepared two tasks actually. Let's take a look at my plan. I have a bug which causes two online and two offline event listeners to be assigned and to be triggered on page load and on changing from online to offline and vice versa. And the second task along the way, I would like to refactor the off and offline logic in the domain-driven way, which means that these two logical elements would have their own folders in my file system, in the project file system. Okay, let's get started. I have my application here run in the emulation mode, and I have use offline hook, which has fix me comment which I left last time, which means that I need to fix it, obviously. So let me run the application and show you the problem. But before that, let me add some console output to make sure that the problem still exists. Online, and I need to add some I don't know, timestamp, current timestamp, to be able to see that the event listener is triggered 2 times actually. Date, what's wrong here? Yeah, let me check. Yeah, all good now. It's my Visual Studio Code or one of the plugins just lagging. The same for the offline handler, offline listener, and now I can actually test the application. Let me open Google Developer Tools here in the browser and clear the application cache first. Reload the app, wait for service workers to be installed. All good. And now I can actually sign in. And subscribe to my push notifications. I can reload the page just in case, and I will use network throttling to simulate online and offline events. So let me switch to offline first. Take a look at the console log. You see 2 offline listeners have been executed, which is not good because we actually run the same logic twice, almost immediately. And when I switch to online, I should have 2 online events here with a slight difference in timestamp. To avoid that, I would like to refactor my code a little bit first. I would start from the Auth context. I would like to refactor it in a domain-driven way. When I open the Auth context, I have a few components in this particular module. First is the state of the state store, I would call it this way, which has one signal for the user and for the authentication. For the authenticated user, actually, I have a type of the returned result for the state store. I have a context here, and I have a provider which is necessary to use the context. I also have use of hook, which is used in many places throughout the application. First, I'd like to create a separate folder for this domain. So let me create domains folder first. I have some lags here, just ignore them. And I need a subfolder for authentication in the domains folder. And now I can actually move the context into that authentication folder. Okay, I have some lags here. I don't know what's happening. I can actually check the log. I don't have any log here for some reason. That's why we'll just reload the Visual Studio Code. Sometimes it happens for some plugins or whatever, I don't know. I will debug it later. I don't want to spend a lot of your time on debugging this issue. So I will run my emulator again. Oh, no, emulators. I need to run emulators. And I need to build the application again. Hopefully this time it won't leak the memory or whatever. We have some issues here. Let's ignore it for now. Let's create index tsx in the folder tsx. Okay, and this index will have a few imports. First will be auth context, and it will export this auth context from this index file. Okay, now we can actually extract pieces of the auth context module into separate files. Okay, I will start from useauth hook. We'll create useauth tsx file, import Solid.js use context, and import auth context from the root, from the index. Now I can actually import use auth here and export it again. Use auth here, yeah. And it's getting better. Now I need a separate file for auth provider. What if I try to use refactoring here? Refactor, extract. If you have this kind of refactoring here, function states that I don't think they have it here, but yeah, let's check. Extract. Okay, we don't have this kind of refactoring here. That's okay. Not all IDEs support the same kind of refactoring approaches. So I will create the file for auth provider myself. That's okay. I will copy auth provider. I can actually import auth context from the root, which is good. Now let me continue. What else here I can export to a separate file? First, I don't like the name of the auth context type. I prefer all my types would start from T prefix, not the type suffix. So let me rename it here. I still have some issues. That's fine. Let me rename it manually. Not a big deal. Some lags, I don't know what happens. I can do it manually. Okay, and here now we can extract the type to a separate file. Auth context tsx. Okay. Some lags again. Okay, I'll just ignore for now. What else I need to extract? I need to extract use provider value hook from this auth context file. I don't like the name actually. I want it to be use provider store. Okay, let's call it store. Oh, yeah. Actually, in Solid.js we have a concept of store. It can actually, how to say, interfere with that. So let me call it use provider state, which is a bit better. I will use normal replacement because of my lags. Use provider state use provider context state. Yep, cool. And now I can actually export and create a separate file for it. tsx. My IDE is still lagging, but that's okay. Now I probably need to import create signal from Solid.js. Let me do it. Okay. And user should be imported from Firebase Auth actually. Okay, let me import it manually. User from Firebase Auth. Okay. Okay, now if I come back to context here, I can remove the type because I declared it in a separate file, and in the type I can use provider context state. Yeah, should be good. Let's import it. Import use provider context state from use provider context state. Okay, I don't have any autocomplete here, but I don't care. I will do it myself. Okay, what I want to do now is to improve imports. I want to import type auth context here and export it again for simplicity, just to be able to use it as a standalone module, if you will. Okay, should be good now. What else we can import here? This state storage 2 can be imported here. Good. I can actually stop the server. Okay, what else? The provider. I can import the provider here too. Auth provider. Auth provider, Auth provider, and here I can export Auth provider now. Yeah, I think we are going to be good. I can save this file, remove the unnecessary imports, cancel all this stuff, and here I need to import the type. Import t of context from the root, because we now have it declared in the index. Okay, I probably have some file system issues with file indexing or whatever. I need to adjust configuration. That's okay. So here I can actually import from index as well, and everywhere it can be imported from the index. Use provider context state. Okay, and import it. Import use provider context state from the root. Okay. Which is going to be perfect. Alright. Use of. Now I need to refactor all the imports for the use of hook. I will search for use of and fix the imports. Here it's okay to just import from the root. Oh no, I cannot import from the root here. It's index.ts. So looks like it cannot find the use of. Okay, I will just reload my idea. It's definitely doing something wrong, or my laptop is just lagging. I don't know what happens. Okay, I can check that everything. Now it's green, meaning everything is okay here. I will close Auth and try to find use of hook uses to check the imports. Okay, domains of, and here the same. I can actually replace it everywhere. Domains of. Okay, should be good now. Let me try to build the application to check that all the imports have been fixed. Not all of them, actually. Okay, what's wrong here? Okay, what's wrong? Let me check. Export type, isolated modules. Export type, okay. Save the file here. Okay, TypeScript need re-exporting a type when isolated modules is unaware. Requires using export type. Okay, I know what it is about. Export type. Something like this. Should fix it. Let me rebuild the app again. Oh, it's actually building, which is perfect. I will run emulators again and try to reload the app to make sure that everything is functioning as expected. For that, I need to clear app storage first, just to make sure to not mess with service workers. The emulator suite needs some time to run. Okay, different hostport, special hostport. What's wrong here? It complains about the port, which is already open. Let me try to run the emulator suite again. Yeah, it's still issues with port. Okay. Okay, to some different ports, specify the host port in the Firebase JSON config file. Okay, let's define port in Firebase config just for the sake of testing. Let's open Firebase JSON, and the pops up port can be just, I don't know, 6 for now. 8086. Let's run it again. Should work now. I probably have some dead processes, emulator processes run. To fix that, I need to restart my system, but yeah, I don't want to stop the recording to make it smoother. So now we are good. The port is different, but we can use the app. Okay, and now I can actually sign in to check the authentication and subscribe. Reload the page, and I'm actually authenticated and subscribed, which is perfect. So what we've just done, we actually extracted Auth context from the hook, from one module to a few modules, and we made it possible to import all of these new modules right from domains Auth. The same way, we can refactor the use offline hook, which will be necessary to fix the issue which I recently mentioned with the double online and offline listeners. Let me close everything except of the use offline hook. Now I'm going to copy the entire folder, Auth folder, and rename the copy to offline. Oh, it's not what I wanted. Yeah, now I can rename offline, and I can actually rename all occurrences of Auth word inside this folder to offline, which will actually help me to speed up the process. So I will just rename Auth to offline. Okay, just let's do it blindly. And now I need to rename the context, the provider, the type, the hook, and the state according to our business domain, in particular offline. Okay, I will remove files manually. Offline, context, offline provider. Okay, and t offline context, use offline. Use provider it should be not use provider context state, but use offline provider context. Provider context state. Provider context. We can actually remove the context thing from here. Use offline provider state. Use offline provider state. Let me rename it. Provider state. And here it's the wrong import. I don't need it here, but I will remove it later. So what we have here, it is good. Here we need to remove this alias. Use offline provider state. Perfect. Here is good. Use offline provider state here. Offline provider state. Can save the file. Yeah, and here use offline provider state. Use offline provider state. Save the file. And what happens here? Why we are red here? Use offline. Cannot find use offline. Why you cannot find use offline? It is strange actually. Offline context. Yeah, we should be good. Let me ignore this issue for now and rename use provider context state the same way for the Auth domain. Use Auth provider state. Use Auth provider state. Use Auth provider state. Should be fine. Here is good. Okay. What's wrong with you? Let me comment you and try to import it again. It cannot find the export. Why is it so? Const offline context. Did I make a mistake here? Offline. Okay, let me import it manually. Probably one more issue. Okay, offline context. I don't know what can be wrong here. Maybe a typo or something. In the offline. No idea. What's the typo here? Let me import again. Offline provider. And here import use offline. Yeah, no, it's good. I have no idea what happened. Now we can close everything to clean up the space. We have the same architecture for our offline domain. We have context, we have provider, And we have use of line provider state. And we are particularly interested in this use of line provider state. We need a signal which is similar to the signal which we have in the use of line, the old use of line hook. And the signal here will look like the following. Okay. And we need use is offline. We actually need to export is offline here, set is offline here. Yep. What else here? And the second change we need to do is to move. We can remove it from here, I believe. But let me first move the event handlers from this hook to the provider, because provider is a better place for it. And here I can deconstruct value into set is offline and use it everywhere here. I need to import some Solid.js stuff on mount hook and on cleanup hook. Yes, and what else here? I can actually remove this use of line hook from here completely and replace all the occurrences to our new domains offline domain. So let me find use of line here, and yeah, let's open it again. I can actually rename the import everywhere. It will be domains and offline, and it should make it. Let's try. The only thing we need to enclose it in the brackets because we don't have default exports in our domain. So what else? Let me try to build the application and see if there are any issues. There are some issues actually in the subscribe control. Same actually here. Can enclose it in the brackets. Now it should be better. What else? I don't think we have anything else. So all good. The only thing now is I need to use my new provider. I didn't declare it anywhere, and I need to enclose all my existing providers in the offline provider actually to be able to use this offline logic which just implemented. Alright, the app is rebuilding. I think we should be more or less good. Yeah, I think we are fine here. The type, all this stuff. Yep, it should be fine. With TypeScript, we could potentially refactor these two domains because their architecture is very similar. We could actually refactor it a little bit to create some abstraction which would allow us to create such domains very easily. But let's do it step by step. For now, I have a bug which I need to fix. So let me clear the application state, reload the app. The app is ready to work offline, which is perfect. Now I can actually network throttle. I go offline. I check the console. I see one offline message, which is reasonable because I'm not logged in. I need to go online and log in first to make sure, and subscribe, of course. Now I can reload the page and throttle network offline. And now I have only one offline log record here, which is what I wanted to achieve. Now let's go online and check the online handlers. And I have one online handler working here. Let's go back offline and again online and check the log. You see one offline, one online. We've actually fixed the bug with double event listeners for online and for offline. We used the same pattern with provider, with context, and we actually encapsulated all the authentication in offline logic to separate domains, which could be potentially reused in other applications. I like this approach. It's not precisely domain-driven design, but actually the idea is quite similar from my understanding of the domain-driven design. Please correct me in comments if I'm doing something wrong or my understanding is not precise. I will appreciate it. Okay, what else can we do now? Let's take a look at my plan again. Actually, it's what I wanted to achieve for this particular video. So we've actually fixed the duplicate online offline event listeners, and we refactored Auth and offline business logic into separate domain folders. And the code now looks a little bit cleaner, and it's easier to navigate through authentication logic and through offline logic. Ideally, we could also move components to domain folders and call everything else in this src folder as something like shared or common or miscellaneous or whatever you want the shared code to be called. It's up to you. Actually, it can be core actually. So it would be more precise because here we have a few components which are related to authentication. For instance, auth control. And I think we have only one component related to authentication, but we have some auth functions, auth logic, which could be potentially extracted from the core to the domain folder, the corresponding domain folder, either in this particular case or domains auth. So you can refactor stuff further if you wish, but it's pretty good for me. If I see the necessity to refactor further, I will do it in my next videos. But for now, thank you very much for your time. See you in my next video. Cheers.